We are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This has become a regular Monday thing, and I'm super excited. This is our last one before the webinar, which will be next Monday. And Amelia and I have just spent some time talking about it. It's going to be fabulous. A lot of great information coming your way. But today, we're going to talk about to get a website or not to get a website. That's the question. And so, let me think. What I was going to say is a lot of homesteading people don't think they need one. We're either too small, we don't have enough products. Um, there's all kinds of reasons you can come up with, but you do. And it's well worth the investment. So, Amelia, why don't you talk to us some about why homesteaders need a website?
Well, one of the things you were talking about is people have say that their business is too small for a website, but they're just a homestead. They don't need a website. But oftentimes, I've found when somebody says my business is too small for a website, what they're really meaning is they don't think that they actually have time to invest in a
Mm,
website, or they feel like they can't justify that expense while they're paying out of pocket for their homestead. But a website is a really important tool because it actually helps those potential customers to find the homesteader without them having to actually reach out to them directly. So they don't have to go and post on Facebook, uh, you know, 10 times a day to be able to have customers actually find them and purchase their products. So it doesn't just save them time and money, it actually makes them money.
true. I was going to say my typical plan for my websites, other than trying to stay up to date, like on the blogs, is I would do it in January. That week in between Christmas and New Year's was my week to get like all the techie stuff done because people were too busy doing other things. And that's when I would update my website for the whole year. So I would put the calendar on there as far as like farmers markets, events, speaking engagements, everything was on that calendar. And then if something got canceled or something got changed, I could take it off of there. But I knew that come, you know, like March, April, May, I wasn't putting anything new up there because I was outside all the time. So that is one thing I loved about the website is you can front load it and put all that information out there and then just do a few little things to make it current or that it looks like you're paying attention to the website and it's just not stagnant. So, anyways, I love the value that comes with a website. Um, but I will say, and I know you and I have talked about this, but I want you to discuss it with the people here today. Um, the problem is if they so the top thing I hear from homesteaders who are just starting to monetize their homestead is they're too small for a website. And I think you just addressed that one. But then the other thing that I hear is, and you can talk about both of these in this one, is they're not tech savvy enough. Now that was always my argument. I could do basic stuff on there, but as far as that's why I never put a store up because I thought I have not even a clue how to begin to put items up there and then how to charge people and how to ship stuff out. That was just beyond me. So the whole e-commerce thing was really beyond me. So do you want to talk to that? The either being too small or feeling like they're not tech savvy enough to be able to handle a website.
Well, we talked about the Homestead Business Success Path in the first week where we started doing these live videos. And when you're in that first phase where you're paying out of pocket, you really have to find a way to reach more potential customers so that you can grow your business and get to that place where you're covering some of your costs. And we talked about that in a previous live video. We'll put the link to that video in the comments so that people can watch that. Um, you don't want to remain a small business indefinitely. So when you say my business is too small, you don't want to stay being too small.
Mm-hmm.
You need to invest in those right tools for the job, um, just as much as you would want to invest in a tractor to be able to save you time, or an automatic watering system. A good website is a really important investment because it's going to help those customers discover your business, like I said, without you having to put a ton of effort. Because on social media,
Mm-hmm.
you post and it's seen by a small amount of people. But on a website, once you put that on there, Google and Bing, all those search engines, they will keep showing that content to new people as they're searching for similar, like if they're searching for goat milk in
Mm-hmm.
your area or raw milk in your area, they're going to be able to find those blog posts and articles and
Mm-hmm.
pages that you have on that website. Um, when it comes to the tech savviness of websites, I actually hear that a lot. It really depends on what platform you use. Um,
Mm-hmm.
whether you feel like the learning curve is too steep or updating your website takes too much time because it's too complicated. Um, it really depends on the software. Um, just a small moment of bragging. Um, we actually have built a really easy to use homestead website platform. It's actually the platform that you use on your website, Cindy.
Yep.
Would you like to tell people a little bit about that?
Sure. I think part of it, I was the guinea pig because I came in as the not novice, or no, definitely a novice. I had been using Word before, which was fine. But I was on my own. I couldn't ask questions. I couldn't, so I didn't do a lot of the things that were available to me because I didn't have somebody to talk to. But now I have Amelia. And that platform that they have come up with is very similar to what I was using on WordPress. The other thing that was really nice when we were setting it up and kind of building a platform for other homesteaders is they asked a lot of questions. So I actually was able to give some input as to can you word it like this because that makes no sense to me. So being a novice really did help in developing this website platform that they have come up with. So I feel like, especially for homesteaders, it's very user friendly and it makes sense. And then Amelia and her team have been invaluable as far as answering questions. And like they never get frustrated with me when I'll text her and I go, tell me again how I'm supposed to get to this page on my website. Always so patient. So I really do appreciate that. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, the website platforms that you have come up with. And before, I just want to say hi to Beth. Thank you for being on here, and Mary and Tony. It's great to see you guys on here. All right, Amelia, take it away.
So for people that are concerned about like the cost of a website, that again depends on who you decide to go with for your website. So there's a lot of different price ranges out there, and it really depends on what you need for your business. But it can be very cost effective
Mm-hmm.
because a professional, well optimized website is going to make you more money than it costs. Um, it really offers a better return on investment than any other form of marketing and advertising. Um, 81% of people search for businesses online before buying something from them. So when they're searching for a product or service, there's a much bigger chance of them stumbling upon your website, and this gives you the opportunity to expand the number of people you're able to reach online. And unlike social media, where someone has to follow you to see your posts, anyone can find your website on Google or Bing. So over time, that investment that you're making in your website is going to pay you back tenfold by driving you new customers.
Well,
Um,
and I think the other thing that we talked about too is social media has its place. The thing that's
mhm.
nice about having a website is every time you post on social media, you can link them to your website. Your website has all that information. So if you post and it's only seen for a few seconds, within those few seconds, they will see your farm basically by linking to your website. And the other thing with having a website, you have a marketer that's working for you 24/7. They never go to sleep, they never shut off, nothing. That website is always there for people to find.
And so if your website costs like, say, $50 a month, you only need to sell like 8 bars of soap, 5 gallons of goat milk. to be able to cover those costs. So when you're comparing that to like a Facebook boost or advertising or a newspaper ad, that's a huge return on investment because you don't have to sell very much every month to be able to cover those costs. I would say something that people don't think about as much when it comes to the cost of doing business is spending time replying to those emails and Facebook messages and answering the phone. That can take up a lot of your time.
Mm-hmm.
And frustrating part is that a majority of these phone calls and emails are about like super simple things like what's your address or hey, are you still open? And a website is going to help your customers to find the answers to their basic questions without needing to call you or send you an email. And studies show that customers who call you after visiting your website are far more likely to buy from you because they're much further along in that process. They've already figured out where you are, how far away you are, what your hours are, and what products you're providing. And so now they're much further along in that decision-making process. And so that's a part of how a good website will pay for itself.
The other thing I wanted to point out, and for all the hundreds of hours of business podcasts that I have listened to, and the one thing that they come back to all the time, those who pay attention. And if any of us have done classes or anything like that, if you don't charge for something, and I learned this early on when I had classes at the farm, if you don't charge for it or you don't charge enough, then people are just kind of like, if I show up, I show up. If I don't, it's no big deal. They don't pay attention to what you're teaching because they have no investment in it. So if you're not paying for a website and understanding it's just part of the cost of having or developing a business, you're not going to pay attention to the information that you're putting out there because it'll be like, I didn't have to pay anything for this website, or it's a nominal fee that doesn't really matter to me. So if I use it, I use it. If I don't, I don't. And we've already gone through all the reasons that that a website can help you. But if you're not invested in your website, you're not going to use it to the full potential that's there. So the cost, I think, and I know we're all trying to be frugal and, counting pennies and just being careful, especially with all the world stuff that's going on right now. But if you look at all the benefits that your website offers you and the amount of people that it can reach and the amount of exposure it gives to you, it is worth the money that you're putting into it. And the amount of money that you're putting into it, you need to make sure that you're taking advantage of all that's available to you. That's why when I signed up with Amelia and her team, I'm doing stuff now that I was not able to do before. And there are some months, probably more than I care to admit, that I am not using it to its full potential. And that's on me. It's not that I'm going to stop because I know all the good things that it can do. It's just, that's my responsibility to make sure that I'm using it. But I like the way it looks. It's up there. It has all my information. They've been a huge help as far as branding and what I should have on there. They've done a lot of the research that I didn't have time to do. And so they just share with me their expertise. I've been out, before, like I was out doing all the homesteading stuff. They were the ones that were researching why a website is good for me to have, and then shared with me all those reasons. So I guess my biggest thing is that thing that I hear over and over and over again in business podcasts is those who pay attention.
Well, thank you, Cindy. I actually think that's a really good point. And I think that you do yourself a bit of a disservice because you put a lot of work in on your website and then you also take and schedule those things out. So even when you do feel like I'm not using my website to my fullest potential, you still have all those things working for you.
Yeah.
So you're still getting that benefit because you are using those strategies that are actually going to make it so that it basically is covering for you while you're busy.
Yes, that is true.
you are using your website on a consistent basis, and I think that that's something to remind yourself. So a little bit of coaching for Cindy right now.
Thank you. All right. All right. So how about this one? So this is another question that's come up. It's funny because she actually writes the questions out because sometimes I just go on. Some homesteaders don't think they need a website because their customers aren't website users.
And I would say for that, when you want to look up movie times, get the weather report, or look up a phone number for a business you want to buy from, where do you look? The first thing that you go to is your favorite search engine. And 3/4 of Americans own a smartphone, and the rest of them are under the age of 10. So
That's a good stat.
there are more people using their mobile phones to search for information on the internet than ever before. This is kind of an internet golden age. So they may not be your customers may not be tech savvy. They may not spend hours on the internet or on their desktop computer or on a laptop, but they're definitely on the internet and they're definitely using websites. So when they are ready to buy, you need to make it super easy for them to find you.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you need to be on social media and you need to have a website for them to be able to get more information from you.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's that whole thing of you multiply. I mean, you guys, at least the names that I see on here, are all part of LHG. So you understand this. When you have a single person, you can get so much done. But when you have a community, you can get so much more done. It's what I've been calling the exponential explosion. And I feel like that's the same way if you have a website and you do social media. In and of themselves, they work, to a certain point. But when you put the two together and know how to work them, once you've established that website, then you have this exponential growth because you're using both of these tools with each other rather than against each other as a solo tool, but used together like in community. Amelia and I were just talking about that interdependency is just, it's exponential as far as your growth, who you're reaching, your customers, all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I totally agree. It's being able to take that same content that you're posting and all those pictures that you're taking that you post on your Instagram and your Facebook and putting them on your website. Now they have a home that they can live forever.
mm-hmm.
And if you posted the image, you took the image and it's been 5 years on your Instagram, it's going to take forever for someone scrolling to be able to see that image. But if it's on your website, then all they have to do is click on that images tab or go through your image gallery, mm-hmm. or it could be in a slideshow. And so you're able to take all of this effort they put in and be able to keep on using it. Mm-hmm. And so the very concept of the website gives you that ability to kind of like reuse those resources and gives you that growth just naturally. Because if you use it just the same way you're using your social media, all you're doing is giving everyone another place to be able to find you and be able to get that information.
Mm-hmm.
And using those together is a very important strategy because you have there's people that are on social media. Like I said, people are using their smartphones. They have the Facebook app on there. And so if you're able to then link them to your website, now they're going to get a curated list of all your best content. And that's going to be a lot easier to be able to convince them and to talk to them, make them know, like, and trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they like you, then all that information comes up every time you post something too. So, yeah. Okay. One of the last questions that I had, because I actually did fall into this category. What about homesteaders that don't want to bother with listing their products online, shipping or handling, and all the stuff that comes with an online shop?
There's actually a huge misconception that people have that you have to have an online shop in order to benefit from a website. Your website is going to sell your products and services whether you're taking payment online, over the phone, or in person. When it comes down to it, like I said, people buy from businesses they know, like, and trust. 56% of people stated that they won't trust a business without a website. Mm-hmm. So If you want to show those potential customers that you take your homestead business seriously, you should invest in a professional website. It's going to give them that great first impression and the comfort that you're a real business. You don't have to have an online shop. You can grow into that, because right now, most people that we're talking to and that we're are at that kind of that ceiling where they're about to be able to get to that next level of their business, and they need something that's going to help them to take some of the pressure off so that they can keep getting those customers in. They can get just get that bump of more customers without, and take away some of the time that they're having to spend on marketing their business, so that they're able to put in the same or less effort and be able to reach way more people. And then once you have more time and more money because you have more customers and it's taking you less time to reach them, then you can think about an online shop. But you don't have to have one in order to make your website pay for itself.
Yeah. And that's very true. I never sold products off. I would advertise about them, and they would come to the farm or meet me at the farmer's market or whatever. But because of where I am now, and I'm making smaller things, that actually is my next thing, is to go to e-commerce or something that's online. And the thing that has made this not scary thinking about that, because before I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it because I had no idea how to start that, is now I have Amelia and her team, and we've talked about it, and it's not scary to me because I know I can text her or call her and she'll answer my question. So that is in my future plan, is to be able to get products on my website. And so I'm very, very thankful that I found Amelia and her team, because like I said, it's not scary going forward. But before that, I never sold anything, especially if you don't have a ton of product, but you want to advertise. That's where the website comes in really nicely. Like I used to put on my website too, when I was going to be at the farmer's market or any other places, and then what products I was bringing with me. So people knew ahead of time what I was going to have. So it was mostly selling when I was there, because they already knew what they were coming for, instead of just happening upon me at the farmer's market. So,
yeah, I think that an events calendar is really an essential page to have on your website, especially for homesteaders, because it's really helping you to expose where you are to people and where you're going to be, what you're going to be providing.
right.
Being able to put on there like, hey, this is the time to, this is when the chick ordering, this is when I'm going to get my chicks in. This is when the chickens are available. This is, when I'm going to be doing this type of class on the farm. And then here's where I'm going to be at the farmer's market. You can tell people this information and market that as the events come up. But by having a calendar, there's going to be people that are going to see that calendar and be on there in the first week of the month and look and see, oh, wow, there's all these things that are going on. I'm going to put that in my calendar and I'm going to show up.
Yep.
You get so much more buy-in when you have that all planned out.
Yeah. One of the other things I was going to say too is, in a proven stat or theory, whatever, is that people will not follow chaos. And I feel like a website allows you to be organized in front of your customers so that you can list things out, what you have. And so it gives them a confidence of knowing this is what you're going to have, instead of trying to guess all the time, well, is she going to be there? Is she not going to be there? What products will she have? What will she not have? And so the more organized, even if you're faking it a little bit, just be organized on your website. People will follow you because they won't follow chaos, or the other thing that we say is to be unclear is to be unkind. And that all goes back to this know, like, trust of your customers with you as a business owner. So anyways, it's almost the 30 minutes. And so I want to get to this last thing. I'm so excited because next week on the 25th, Amelia's going to be coming on, and we'll be doing a webinar on the essential pages you need to have for your website. So if you're on the fence about getting this website, Amelia is actually going to walk you through what pages are essential to have on there. It seems a little daunting because she and I went through this exercise, and it really wasn't. It takes a little bit of time, but it wasn't scary because Amelia was there to kind of hold my hand and tell me exactly what I had to do. But anyways, if you go to Cindy Ball, so CYNDIBALL.com/websites, that's where you can sign up on my website for the webinar next week. A lot of great content she's given us so much already in the last several weeks, but even more so, being very specific on the essential pages that you need for a website. So did you want to add anything more, Amelia?
I'm actually going to be also going through not just what pages you need, but what you need to put on them, because some people will be intimidated about writing an About Us page because they're like, well, what do I say? And I'm going to be actually going through that and giving you that information so that it's going to make it super easy for you to be able to build a successful website. This is based on my company's experience over 21 years of doing websites and internet marketing. So, and our concepts of considerate marketing. So it's not going to be salesy. It's not going to be pushy. You're going to be able to send people to your website and feel confident that you are going to be able to answer all of their questions and be able to lead them through that sales funnel, that buyer's journey. And it's going to be kind and considerate. So go to cindyball.com/websites. After you sign up, we actually have some free goodies for you. That's going to include the Homestead Business Success Path checklist and the Homestead Walkabout Assessment from Cindy's book, Simplify Your Homestead.
Great. Just a shout out to Lisa and Christine. Thanks so much for being on here. One other thing that I wanted to say is before next week's seminar, here's your homework for this week, is go to other websites. Start just looking, look up homestead websites or homestead businesses or something like that, and just look at other people's businesses on their websites. Look for what colors, how do they make you feel? What kind of things hit you first when you look on there? What are the ones that make you feel good or you're really drawn to, or ones that kind of repel you and you're like, I'm staying here because I'm doing research, but I wouldn't stay here if I was just scrolling. So, and just jot down those ideas, read some of their things that they've written about themselves or what their products are selling. It is amazing how much you will get by going to somebody else's website. That's what I share with people. I wrote it in my book, and when I say the same thing. It's like a homesteader going to other people's homesteads. You're either going to walk away going, man, I got a lot of really great ideas that I can implement onto my farm or my homestead, or you're going to walk away going, gosh, I'm doing a really good job so far. So, and that's kind of where you'll be when you start looking at websites. Some you'll really like, and others you'll go, yeah, that's not what I'm going to do on mine. So anyways, it just helps coming into next week's webinar to have an idea of kind of what you're thinking about as a website. Okay, I'm done talking. Do you have any more, Amelia?
No, that was great. I think that's a great suggestion. Looking forward to seeing what everyone likes on there for websites.
Yes. All right. Thank all of you for being on here. We look forward to seeing you next week, and go to the address that they put up here and make sure you sign up for that webinar for next Monday. See y'all. Thanks for being on here. Bye-bye.